All right. On the entire life series today, we have David Bradley. And David Bradley actually is the very first coach that we actually sourced off of Bitcloud. So you're number one. It's good to be number one.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last.
Yep, exactly. David, tell us more about yourself and a little bit about how you got into coaching and what sort of a lifestyle that's given you where you are today.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you the short version. So my name is David Bradley. My official job title, if I ever had a business card ever again, would be training facilitator and coach with Grant Cardone. And I've been doing that role with Grant since September of 2020. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I was a sales and marketing manager for Grant, where I would go out into the marketplace and help individuals and small businesses get hooked up on our online training platform. And then I would support it. And prior to that, I was in the auto industry for just shy of 10 years, multiple levels, internet director, sales professional. And Grant, that's where I found Grant Cardone's training as a sales guy very early in 2003. And Grant's training took me from barely surviving in that industry, like literally like selling enough to just basically not get fired, to thriving, right? I actually got fired the first 3 months in the business at the same dealership. And I kept convincing the general manager to just give me one more shot, give me one more shot, give me one more shot. And he said, hey, if you could just close people as hard as you're closing me to not fire you right now, you'd be okay. So I started doing some research and study and training. About 9 months into that, I found Grant's material. And within 18 months, I was a top producer in the company and then moved into management. So I got an opportunity to come work with him in 2011 to help launch this online program. And it was just a no-brainer for me. Everything that has been better about my life I can attribute to something I've learned from Grant. So to be able to give this to other people, for me, is an honor. It's a privilege and a great responsibility. So we started the coaching program September 2011 or 2020, sorry, where we just had such a high level of interest in this in one vertical. And we started doing it for the Fortune 500 company. We started doing it in the auto space. And then people just started asking for it. And we realized that we had
something.
Yeah, two guys doing it. And we're like, we need help. So I'm like, put me in, coach. So I literally flipped into that role. And it's been tremendously rewarding. I mean, it's a blast. I'm on Zoom probably 7 or 8 hours a day, but man, it's when you see somebody's light go on,
it's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Beautiful thing. Exactly right.
Beautiful thing. It's one of my favorite things in the world, actually.
Right.
Is when that aha moment comes and you're like, okay, they're good. Yeah. Let them savor that for a second.
My favorite moment or testimonial with what our training has done was years ago, but it's one of these things that I will fall back on to stay motivated and keep pushing. Mm-hmm. Is there was a young man that was working for one company that had zero training and he couldn't produce and they fired him. Mm-hmm. He found another company that was on our program, and that was in October. He calls us up in like January, and I took the call and he says, I got to tell you, in October, I literally had a conversation with my wife about, listen, right now, forget Christmas, forget presents under the tree, forget the tree. If we can just get through, we'll be okay. Mm-hmm. But he dived into our content and started implementing it immediately. And on Christmas, they had a tree, they had presents under it, stocking stuff by the chimney with care. And that's him and 2 kids, all under 10. And when you have that, that gets you right in the feels, and that you had an impact on this guy, not just in terms of money, but what he was able to do with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's why a lot of us have become coaches. Mm-hmm. It's not just about the money. It's also about the impact, right? It's right. That long-term impact that we'll have on the world. That's awesome. So now I'm curious, being our number one coach that has come in through Bitcloud, tell me why you joined Bitcloud and what you like about it.
Well, one of the great things about, and if you're not too familiar with who Grant Cardone is, one thing I can definitely tell you for sure is he is always at the forefront, and he's always been there.
To be.
Yeah. He's always ahead of the pack, just like you, right? Like I noticed a lot of what you do is you're way ahead, and I love that. And so Grant posted maybe 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, like a picture and like who's on this. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, well, I am. So I go check that thing out. I registered for it and was just curious to say the least, highly interested, fascinated with what's happening here and the idea that it's on a blockchain and there is no Jack or Zuck or there's nobody.
Right,
And
right.
so while this is in its infancy and there's learning and stuff, but it's like the other thing I noticed, speaking of which, it's not Twitter.
Yeah.
And for the Star Wars fans out there, I compare Twitter right now to the Mos Eisley of the social media space. So it's kind of a wretched hive, and there's so much anger and vitriol and lack of interest in anything good. Mm-hmm. And my role, and I always want to leave anything I come to better than the way I found it. I always go into that and I try and push as much positivity into the Twitter space as I can. But that's definitely, who's the guy, Sisyphus, the poor dude that had to push the rock up the hill and then it would roll back down. I feel like that guy on Twitter, but and there's a lot, and I've made some amazing connections there as well.
There or here?
Yeah, both.
Yeah, I've like in the last month, I can't tell you how many just amazing people, not only people that I didn't know, but reconnecting with people that I knew before, right? And they're all wanting to create something new, right? A different way of interacting with each other. And that's really exciting to me. I'll tell you more about how we're interacting with Bitcloud. But right now, I'm really curious to learn how you get clarity for yourself and also how you help your clients to get clarity.
Okay. So the first piece about clarity is you got to write your goals and your dreams down, and you got to do that every single day. In fact, you probably need to do it at least 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. Once in the morning to set the tone, once at night. Your subconscious is going to be up all night anyway. Might as well give it something to do. So you write your goals and your dreams down again. And that needs to happen. That needs to be habit. It needs to be ritual. It needs to be right there with teeth brushing. Not the sexiest analogy on the planet, but it needs to get done every single day. So that's the first thing I do for clarity. I get really every day I get very clear on why did I get out of bed? Mm-hmm. Why am I going? Why am I resting? Did I earn this? Right. And I write them down. And the other thing that I do for clarity is I write them down in first person as if they've already happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you might have noticed that when you log into our software that we've created it so that you answer a question that forces you to answer it that way, right?
Yeah. Present tense when it comes to goals is like one of the most important things that people miss. You're like, I will be that, or I want this. It just leaves you in a state of wanting and never quite actually arriving.
Yeah, it separates you from actually having it, right? By saying that it's not there, right?
Yep.
Good. Awesome.
Yep. And I tell my clients to do that. And we have a thing, our main sales office and the people that I work with mostly are salespeople or business professionals looking to increase their sales. That's our main focus. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we do if you're having an off day or you're having a down moment, there's 4 things that we check people on. Check yourself before you
wreck yourself.
That's right. So it's goals, sleep, workout, fuel.
Whoop.
Right. So if you haven't done those things today, then no wonder you're having an off day. You're not focused. You're not clear on what you're doing and why you're here. Right. Mm-hmm. You're underslept. You're underfed. And you haven't moved your body. You haven't done anything with your meat suit.
Got to keep those things in top performance, right?
Well, if you want to be in control of your day, it starts with controlling your mind and controlling your body.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Totally agree with you there. Yeah. Your emotional and mental state determines, how you can perform. And if you're not in a good mental state, then it's so easy to get off track.
Right. And those four things will kill it if they're not in line.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the next question that I ask people is, once you've got power, then how do you, or once you've got clarity, how do you get power? And power to me is that, how do you continue to go on when you're having that shitty day, right? How do you coach people through those moments when they're like, oh, I just want to quit. I'm stuck. I'm done. Right? How do you do that?
Well, so I love that question. So the first thing I like to tell people is, where is your attention at right now? Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Future?
are you?
Present?
Yeah, correct. And we always tell people that Grant says this, and the first time I heard it, it was like a mind opener for me. He says, the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror for a reason. So like, where are you going? And where's your attention right now? Are you stuck in some past moment? Are you totally focused on the future? Your past is data. And by past, I mean 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Or 30 years ago. It doesn't matter. It's just data. It's just information that you need to use to make the right decision moving forward.
100%. Yeah.
So many people let that carry an emotional charge, and it doesn't even need to.
Yeah. They get attached to it.
Yeah. So where are you going? Where's your attention? And you want your attention on the future. That's the first step. The second thing is this, and this, we have these signs like no negativity allowed here, and if you go negative thinking is going to work 100% of the time. Trevor Mowat says that. I've read his book, but he's got a book called It Takes What It Takes. And he is a mindset and mental conditioning coach, and he works with high performing athletes. Mm-hmm. So you need to stay as positive as you can. That may not necessarily always create the answer you're looking for, but it's what we can guarantee you is negative thinking won't.
Yeah.
So can you find the good? Can you find the positive? And then again, revisit your goals. So if you're a salesperson, you're an entrepreneur, you're a coach, right? There's coaches that are watching this right now. You're going to go try and get a new client. So all the coaches that are watching this right now, you're also in sales, right? And so you're trying to get a new client to sign up, and you do everything you can. You follow this guy for 3 or 6 weeks, and then he winds up signing up with a different coach. And it's very easy to just like, this is stupid. What am I doing here? I'm wasting my time. And No, this is when you go back to your goals. This is when you revisit the fact that you made a commitment this year that you're signing up 4 new clients every single month or whatever your number is. And then you just got to get back in there. Solution all problems in sales is a full pipeline.
And what would you tell like business owners? Because there's a lot of business owners that watch our channel as well.
Okay. In terms of like losing business or
in terms of maintaining that power when things get tough.
Oh yeah. 3 words. Promote. Promote. That's
a good one.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then when you're done promoting, you know what you should do?
Promote?
Yeah, promote some more. So Grant spends a lot of time talking about outflow is senior to inflow. And that phrase right there, and if you write it out, I'll write outflow and then the little greater than sign and then inflow. And that carried me through the car business. It carried me through management. It carried me through being an internet director and trying to drive traffic to the dealership via the internet. Then when I come to work for Grant, the more you push out, the more that comes back. And if ever you find you're having a bad month, you can pretty much safely go back 90 days and realize that your outflow went down. And anytime your business is in a place of pullback or contraction, the first step is to advance and conquer.
Yeah. Go back to the basics, right?
Well, so there is that, but if the market and the conditions have changed, so for example, the way people shop and buy right now is very different. If I go back to basics, which is, so for example, people are going to...
Basics is that basic premise that promotion is the biggest thing.
Yes, fundamental. Yeah,
for sure. Good. That's really good. And so what about follow through? How do you think about follow through, meaning that you've got the clarity, you've got the power, and now how do you like continue on with your word that you
Yeah, I love that.
do this, right?
So like on my own level, personal, it's what Grant says, have goals so big that your problems pale in comparison.
I like that.
Yeah. And for us, there's like Grant has like a success pyramid, if you will, and it's an equilateral triangle. Pyramid is the most solid foundation you can have, right? So it's attitude, approach, and action. Attitude being the base, approach and action make the points. So if you're trying to create more success in your life, number one, you need to have your head on right. We talked about that. You need an approach that works. So, you know, people are going to do business with somebody that they know, trust, and like. It used to be know, like, and trust. But every one of us has done business with an asshole.
True.
Right? But we knew who they were, because if they don't know you, they can't do business with you, period. Right. And we trusted them just enough to where like, okay, I don't have time for this. Time is the new commodity. Nobody has time.
Yeah.
So when it comes to follow through, I need to have my attitude right. I need to have a correct approach that is concentric and built for today's buyer. And then I need to take action at a level that is at least tenfold what I think I need to be at. I like so that. we call it the 10X rule. Grant wrote a whole book on it, and it's elevating. You've read it?
I have read it.
Right on.
I've got, oh God, I've got so many productivity books.
Yeah.
And that's what came out of, you know, creating our software was kind of like a mishmash of all of that together over 18 years, right?
Yep.
It all kind of come together.
Yeah. And so for us, you know, for follow through, is your think big enough? Like, are you there? And then are you doing enough? Like legit? You know?
That's the thing, because what I see is, and the reason that I created the software was, the main thing is that the people who fail are the people who make the goals, but they don't connect them to their daily activities.
Oh yeah.
And that is like number one killer, will kill you every time. If you don't connect those long-term goals with your daily activities, then you know you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You're really busy,
right?
And
we spend a lot of time actually if somebody comes on and they bring their sales team into our coaching program, the first module we run them through is a course called Attitude and Mindset. And it's literally about that very thing, and then we do goals and targets is next. And it's literally about getting the daily activity completely connected to the big picture purpose goal. And and that's part of what, if you're writing it down every day, and that's why you want to revisit your goals and your dreams. And so if you lose a deal, you lose a customer, client cancels on you, you know, whatever issue comes in play. Like I've got one of my restaurants that I work with, they had 3 people called in. They're they're on the East Coast. 3 people called in. They're like, I can't work. Why not? I'm out of gas. I can't deliver food to them. I'm out of gas.
oh my goodness.
You know, can't even get there. Right. What are you going to do? So that is an interesting challenge that every person's going to face. So did you prepare? Were you ready for that? You know, what's plan B?
Yeah. That's always a good distinction, right? Is to think about, what will you do if things go wrong?
Right. Well, you need to assume full responsibility for that, right? Even though this thing out here happened, it's not, I can react to it or I can respond to it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, is that the most successful people always kind of take 10 seconds thinking about all the different various options, and then make their action, right? They don't just go into action.
And that is, I think that's a defining trait of being a good human.
Yeah, for sure.
Recognize that between the stimulus and the response, you have a moment where you make a decision.
Yeah.
Right. Animals don't have that
decision. Right. Exactly. Exactly. The people talk about your lizard brain, right?
Yeah. Or in class calls it the croc brain, which, yeah, I think that's hysterical.
Your croc brain. I
Yeah.
like that one.
But now, do you have kids?
I do. I do. I have a 19-year-old.
So like imagine like when your 19-year-old was like still an infant and you're going in the park, and a person comes out like, oh, look at the cute little kid. You make a decision. Hey, is this like there all sorts of things go through your head. You're like, is this person safe? Is this a weirdo? Are they going to try and grab my kid and run? Like you actually have a process in your brain that's that fast where you make a decision about what to do about that person.
Yeah,
If you were like a mama bear, you
I
just
am.
annihilate that person. Like there'd be like, can you imagine like you go up in the forest, like, oh, cute little cubby, come here, little cubby, and then mama bear, that's it. So that's what makes us human. And I wish more people recognized that and actually owned that gap between stimulus and response.
Well, that's another reason that I am creating, what we're doing with Entire Task and Bitcloud is I want to give coaches more of an opportunity to coach, right?
Yeah.
Because right now there's a lot of coaches out there that they're taking 6 months of their coaching careers setting up marketing funnels. they're not coaching, right? They're doing everything but coaching.
Right.
And I'm kind of hoping to help them out with that by giving them a platform where they can connect with people who want to achieve their goals, right? So
Yeah.
on the one side, we've got people who want to achieve their goals. And then on the other side, is all of the coaches and people, mentors who can help them achieve their goals. That to me is something that I can get behind because I want to move the world forward and help people be their best, right? And I can't do all the coaching myself. And I'm much better suited to do the technical part of it, right? But the nice thing is that I have that understanding of what coaches deal with, having been a coach
Right.
for myself. I coach really, really high net worth individuals. I only have one client left, and I won't let go of him. I'll keep coaching him for as long as ever.
Yeah.
But I love helping people who are really powerful to make those powerful impacts on the world, because that is like, I believe that people can make changes even more so than governments, right?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. And so companies and people, when they get a goal it's stuck in their head and they get the right people behind them championing them, that's great. And then now with Bitcloud, I really like the idea. I was in a clubhouse the other day with some guys, and somebody mentioned, well, what about if the coaches could invest in their coachees? And I'm like,
wow.
Oh my God, think about that, right?
Yeah. Right.
So I have my
That's skin in the game right there.
yeah, I've got my maybe I'm an Olympic athlete coach or something, right? Or a prize fighter coach or whatever, an influencer coach, whatever you might be.
Right.
But if you really believe in that person that you're coaching, do you want to invest in them? I think 100%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be really interesting to see where we go.
Can I make a confession about Bitcloud?
I would love you to make a confession.
Bitcloud was so inspiring to me that I actually bought my first Bitcoin.
Really? That is really cool.
I never purchased any cryptocurrency up to that point.
Really? Wow. I love that. I absolutely love that. I adore that. That makes me really happy.
Right. I saw it like what I see in Bitcloud is number one, it's an opportunity to be on the ground floor of something that could be, and even if it's not around for a very, very long time, like let's just say another 5 years, but it has the potential to grow, and the connections that can be made and the experience that you have. number one, I mentioned this earlier, nobody's going to be able to do business with you if they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And so then you have, like, almost as a business professional, you have almost a fiduciary responsibility to go everywhere you possibly can to get known and to get out of obscurity, which means I need to have an omnipresent.
Well, that's another thing about the Bitcloud. We're running our own node, right?
Yeah.
So other people are running their own node, but you could be David Bradley on our node, and you could be David Bradley on another node, but you carry your identity with you everywhere.
Right.
And I really like that idea. And that's why I wanted to incorporate it into what we're doing, because I wanted, so like pre-Bitcloud, right? I was thinking, well, how can I help our users to know if a coach is good, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I could give them a number of the number of goals that they've helped a user achieve, right?
Yeah.
And so that we've got a new name for that number, by the way. It's Coach Cloud.
Okay.
So when people on our platform, there'll be like a number attached to our coaches, and we'll know how many users they've actually helped achieve goals, or rather how many goals they've helped achieve, which is really cool. But I was thinking, oh God, that's like a walled garden, right? And that will only be valid for the coaches that have been on there for a long time. I'm like, how can I know an established coach outside of our walled garden? Right? How can I know? And so I thought it was really interesting when I saw on Bitcloud, I saw Lewis Howe and Brendan Bouchard and Tony Robbins. And I'm like, oh, there's a signal there.
Yeah.
There's a signal right there that they've got a really high, number in Bitcloud, right?
Right. Their coin offering
coins are massive. So I can probably infer from that they're a good coach. They're somebody who's trusted. Yes. And I'm like, oh yes, we could integrate that into what we're doing. And then that whole thing with, being able to invest in coachees and then, our software, having the goals on that one side, I'm like, oh, this is like coming together. Like, those moments in time when things just kind of fall in place and you're like, I can't even believe that this is happening right now.
Right. I don't really believe in coincidences, but I do love the definition of the word where it coincides. A lot of people think that a coincidence means intentionality is taken out of it, but I don't believe that.
Opportunity, right? Opportunity meets preparation.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. That's one of my favorite words, favorite little slogans, right?
Yeah.
That's so good. Awesome. Well, I have totally had some fun here with you today. I definitely think we're all on the right track. That's for sure.
Yes, we are.
Tell us about, we always ask everybody who's been on, what can you leave our watchers with today? How can they connect with you? We'll make sure that it's linked down below this. So tell us.
Okay, so if you're stumbling on this outside of the Bitcloud sphere, then this is your call to action to get yourself on Bitcloud, and that's just find me on Bitcloud. I'm at David R. Bradley. I'm hanging out there. I'm spending way more time there than on the Twitter, so you can get me there. But that at David R. Bradley is also my Twitter handle. And if you're also in earshot of this, then I'm happy to throw your way 2 weeks free access to Cardone University with your name on it. And the best way to take advantage of that would be to go to cardonesolutions.com/Cardone, Cardone, the letter U, and then the word free. And you can pop in there, spend 2 weeks in that program. If you're going to do that, figure out, hey, what do I need to have out of here when I'm done with the 2 weeks? Do not randomly go in there and just see what you can find. Go in there with an intention. Be like, okay, I want to get better at handling a spouse objection, or I want to get better at handling price, or I want to get better at presenting product, or I need to get my follow-up game on, or I need to work on a process, whatever you want to work on, prospecting, sales, closing, follow-up. There's answers in there for you. So don't just randomly go in there and see what you can find. Like, go in there with intentionality. At the end of the 2 weeks, if you want to stay on it, there's a charge. But as long as you bounce out of there within the first 2 weeks, all it costs is time and attention.
That is awesome. I will definitely link that below. And what I think would be a good idea as well is if you sign up for a free trial of Entire Task at the same time, because then you've got all of your goals, all of your projects, all of your tasks, everything together there, so that as you're working through that program, you can take that away and continue to have that, you know.
I love that idea. In fact, you should do that first. Go hit Entire Task first, get dialed in there, pop over, and then you're going to know like exactly what you need to work on. And when you're done with that, then you pop in and you do the 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And so like in our workshops, we tell people in our workshops, we always work with what we call moonshot. Are you familiar with that term? Why don't you tell people what a moonshot is?
I mean, I know what the moonshot was, but you know.
Yeah, moonshots are those crazy goals, right? Those crazy, outrageous goals that are really intimidating. Right. And you're not really sure that you can reach them. They're just like a little bit uncomfortable. Good. And so when we do our workshops, we have people think about their moonshot goals. And we think about their moonshot goals like 5 years away, right? And then what we do is we backtrack them. Okay, well, what goal do we have to achieve this year to get to the moonshot, right? And then we start breaking that goal down. Okay, well, what projects do we have to work on?
Right.
You know, what tasks do we have to work on? And that's what we do in our workshops. So I think that the two of them together would be just phenomenal for people.
What we teach and what you do is very much in line.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's crazy. And just hearing you talk about that, when I do my talk on goals and targets and about tying daily activities and with the big fat juicy goal in there, I literally reference the Apollo mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been talking about moonshot and didn't even know it.
Isn't that funny? Well, now with Elon, we're going to have to start calling it a Mars shot, right?
Yeah.
The moon isn't far enough anymore.
Right. Well, let's 10X it. Titan shot.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, I love that. Oh, man. Woohoo!
Titan.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on today.
You.
And I really enjoyed it. And I'm going to look forward to, seeing what you post on Bitcloud and learning some of your little tidbits of knowledge over time.
I'll be posting nuggets left and right.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You bet.